All right, good evening, everyone. If everyone's ready, it is 6:30. I'd like to call our budget work session meeting to order. Tonight, we do have several departments we're going to be discussing tonight that we didn't take care of or didn't approve last week. What I'd like to do is probably tonight start any discussions. We have the superintendent and the chair of the board are here tonight. Are there any questions or comments for either one of them? We did forward, or they forwarded to me and I forwarded to you guys a spreadsheet regarding class sizes that was talked about last week, but does anyone have any questions for the superintendent or the chair of the board?
No.
I was wondering about that list because I couldn't find it, but I was looking under Brian's name and someone else's. Who was the other person? Sue's name. So I didn't know that it was from you, Christopher. I'm going to go look for it now. Thank you.
It's actually from
Yeah, let me, it's probably sent, 10 o'clock this morning?
yeah. Or,
10 o'clock -ish.
9:28. Okay.
And if you need time, I mean, we do have, I don't want anyone to throw anything at me, but we do have a work session scheduled for tomorrow night as well, if you need time to digest what's there.
Yeah, I would definitely need time to look at it. Thank you.
wait a minute.
Yes.
Never mind.
Okay. Anything new from last week?
Sorry, Ben.
Well,
Anything?
excuse me.
Oh,
My issue is it's not our role to tell the Board of Ed where to cut. I'm not sure why their class sizes would matter. Are you telling them they should cut teachers?
Yes, here's my deal, because I've heard that the classroom sizes are extremely small. There's several classes that have like just 10 kids, some have 12, and when I spoke about it last week, it was minimized a little bit by, well, some kids might have been out sick, but this and that, and to me, it's not a small issue or kids are out occasionally issue. It's a wider spread issue where the classroom sizes could be combined in spots, and we could reduce some staff. And I think
we could, or they could.
we as a town, I'm using this we as a town.
We as a
Okay.
town council is not our role to tell the Board of Education where to spend their money.
If I feel, and I don't think I'm alone, if that we are, the staffing at the school is overstaffed or bloated, and it's $21,000 per student and growing, I think it would be not responsible of me to at least have a discussion about it. So I'm just shocked that you're upset that I need to discuss something that a lot of people are talking about.
That it was
in
sent
this
to
town.
it, but the information was also sent to us at 9:30 this morning.
That I didn't know. I never get anything from Christopher in my email. I would never look under his name unless I was specifically told that Chris sent this to you. I asked Brian to send it to me. I was looking under Brian's name, and I was looking under the person that took over for Joan Calistro, her name, to see if I received an email, and I didn't have it. I get hundreds of emails a day, so I actually have to put the email address in there and search it by the email address in order to find things. So
My issue is it's not our role to tell the Board of Education where to spend their money.
it is our role
To
to
give them a dollar
oversee
amount.
their budget and to see if we could help do due diligence on budget that is $2.6 million. That's our job.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think both of my fellow councilmen's comments, it is a topic that should be discussed and debated. I want to point out a point that 2 meetings ago, Councilman Gettleman, cannot say your name tonight, Ben said that he was asking if the two folks on the Board of Education who voted no had said why. And the reason for that was they were looking for the lost income to be compensated in some way. So that way, this Board of Education wasn't a continuous runaway train. I think both council people for the heated conversation, and I agree it is one that we should be having. So it sounds like you're looking to understand, perhaps, if you were to ask for an aggregate amount to be brought back to the board, you would need to look at those class sizes to determine that. Do we understand? And I don't want to misunderstand your comment. I don't want to misunderstand anyone's comment ever, because this is important, and I think we should have a conversation, because a lot of the conversation with us happens outside of here, in town, in the streets, and people who ask us to be their voice. So that's what we're all doing. So thank you.
And the reason I asked the question the other night about the two dissenting board members was because that is their role to set the Board of Education budget. If they are voting no, did they offer any ideas on where to make the cuts? That would have been the time to bring up class size. It is not the town council's job. It is not the town council's job to tell the Board of Education where to make their cuts. We can tell them, we're cutting your budget $1 million. You figure it out. But that's the extent of it.
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
No, I would agree, and I know we've had other things that came up, and I have, been pretty consistent in saying that the Board of Education is in charge of the operation of the schools. Also said the library board, because it is a third elected board in Plainville, is also charged with the operation of the library, very much the same relationship that the Board of Ed is to the schools. And it's true, we can set a budget number for the Board of Ed, but we really shouldn't get into any detailed discussion or an in-depth debate about staffing, about curriculum, about hiring at the Board of Ed. And I think we have to keep that in mind. I know several years ago we also had a council member that thought the council could vote to close a school building, which I objected to right away. And indeed, legally, that is not possible, because that is another decision for the Board of Ed to make. I did see the attachment that our chair sent us, and actually I did look at it, specifically looking at the projected numbers. And I didn't have any major questions. Looking at it, keeping in mind the guidelines for class size, and I said I had no questions anyhow. And I may have just asked them, personally, but I didn't see any major issues. And I think we have to look at data, not what we hear, because it's easy to hear stuff that may not have any basis in fact.
Thank you. If there's no basis, then it's not a problem for me to look at it and see whether the people were blowing smoke up my skirt, right? So how would I know that unless I could see it for myself? And I disagree that it's not our job to look at the details. It is our job. If they present a $2.6 million increase, and they say, but this is the best we can do, and it's all salaries and blah, blah, mostly salary, blah, blah, how would we know that unless we look at the details? How do we know that, Rosemary? We can't just take everything at base value or face value and say, okay, all right, here's your money. That's our job, is to look at everything and look at the details and see how we can do better.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morente makes a good point in that we do need to be looking at data, and sometimes it's difficult. I have found this often, and now both of the roles that I've served, that sometimes it's difficult to drill down into that data, right? So we get presented the data, a couple times a year, or the data that we're looking at, but our job also as a body, more so than on the Board of Education, because it was a board, right? And that was drilled into me repeatedly, and it was also drilled into me repeatedly that it also, as a Board of Education member, it was not my job to make decisions on where to cut money. I thought that was interesting since I was a Board of Education member, but that was what was told of me. It was to go back to the person that we trusted as our lead to say, hey, this is the amount, same you're saying here, that we're uncomfortable with, and hand it back to our first in charge. So it sounds like we're all saying something similar, except the disconnect is the people who talk to us and give us the feedback outside of here is data. To me it is, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'll say this right out to the world. You all are also my data, in addition to these endless meetings of data. So I just need to make that very strongly clear, and I would like for us to have conversations that get somewhere, that are not always party line, but actually have these kids, these people who are coming here asking for this money for, because now this is my 5th year being elected, and this budget, the Board of Education budget, isn't getting better. I've now been through teacher contract negotiations, and I can't speak to the specifics because it was all done in executive session. Believe me, I'd love to, but the high-level overview is there's not much we can do. So the little areas where we do have control over the actual money, the peanuts, the little bit that we shouldn't be micromanaging, as it was drilled into me for 4 years as well, unfortunately, we have to talk about it. Thank you.
All right. I think everybody's in a way right with this discussion. I mean, we do need to look at details. We obviously can't tell the board how to spend their money, but we certainly can ask questions and try to understand the process better. I don't mean to kind of cut this discussion short, but, and I'm not, Councilwoman Tompkins, if you want another day to look at data before making any decisions, we can do that. But I do want you to feel comfortable that you've gotten the information you've asked for and that you've had an ample opportunity to look at it.
Thank you.
In the future, please let me know how I can communicate better with you. I don't want you feeling like just because I don't send you a lot of emails that you don't look for them from me, but certainly we can come up with probably a better way for the both of us to make sure that we're seeing the communications that we're sending back and forth. So we can take that away tonight. As far as the board budget, I don't know if there's any new information that you needed to share tonight. If there's anything you think we've missed.
So I don't think there's new information. I think from a process standpoint, maybe it'd be helpful. We did have some small class sizes at the very low grades, kindergarten, and we did move a position and moved it up to the high school where we were having some issues with other class size issues and abilities to offer classes. So there are some small classes this year. That is accurate, and the board made the decision to move that position to a different place in the district to address some of that. I think the second piece is from a process standpoint, the board looked at all of the numbers and asked questions for probably 2 hours about enrollment and how this works and looked at that. And so there's a lot of conversation there, and if you were to try to do that, it would be many, many hours added on to the many, many hours you're already spending. And I understand this is a grueling process, especially when things that we can't control, like insurance, kind of push us over to amounts we want to be at. But they did do that, and they did look at that. Part of that analysis is what we don't know. So our most volatile of not knowing for sure where kids are coming in are your kindergarten and your first grade. Why is that? Because many families move at that point because they're, okay, we have to get serious about where our kids are going to school, so we're going to try to stay there. But there's also the issue of you can do private pre-K right into K and have daycare all arranged and all that stuff. And so there are a fair amount of families who do that program as well. And so first grade and kindergarten are both a little bit, they're somewhat of a, they're kind of risky, right? We are not totally sure where they're going to end up. And so will literally take that enrollment and right through June be looking at it from the perspective of how did we do? So 2 years ago, we ended up in a place where we would have been over 20 if we kept kindergarten the way it was. So we had to shift a position in there because it kind of increased more than we thought it would. Last year, yes, there were some small positions and small class sizes for coming into this year. And we did find ourselves in a position where there are some small classes. So from a process standpoint, there's just a lot of moving parts there. And we really don't know. In fact, we had, I think, in one school, I think last year, 7 students move in August. And so in one grade. So you can imagine when you're dealing with 2 classes, that's a lot of kids, right? And so we absorbed that. The enrollment in general is down. We believe it will be down about 20 students from year to year. The number of staff is staying the same. And that number of kids is throughout the district. So it's down about 40, but we believe we'll collect about at least 20 in our as we bring in students through the choice program. So when I say 20 is the net. So just to kind of give you perspective, that doesn't make your job easier, and I appreciate where you are. We'll do whatever we can to support the process. And I don't want to speak for Mr. White as the board chair, but they do walk us through many hours of answering questions around enrollment, around that. So I hear you. I understand what you're saying. We'll do whatever we can to support the kids. So.
Just to clarify that, I can attest to the fact personally that we have really gone over in detail, especially in a board meeting and also in our workshop sessions with David Lewandowski, who went over with us the actual levels and as pointing out as what the superintendent has just said, that there are variables in the pre-K and in the K areas of our schools, and these are by the nature of those classes that do need to have a reduction in sizes. They generally can be 11 or 12 is really what can be manageable, and in many cases we have students also in those classes with special needs, and they will also require, upon occasion, the service of a para to actually work with those students. And then as the class sizes, and we are aware of this and we look at this, and we are getting, as situations change, our superintendent and the assistant superintendent are forwarding to us the information of these changes, and we are being made aware of that. And I am happy that you are questioning those figures, I think, because this is a critical point, but I think that you will find that that our class sizes are within very acceptable limits. Yes, on certain days you will go into, especially in a pre-K and a first grade class and a K class, you will see absences, especially at this time of year. But we also have classes in the high school where we have English classes that are ranging in size of over 20. And then when you have an English teacher in the high school teaching 5 courses, 5 classes, that's 100 students. That's 100 term papers that you're going to have to grade and homework pages every night. So that does balance out by the level of the services that are required to keep our students getting the education that they need to really succeed as lifelong learners, which is part of our mission statement.
All right. Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry
Yes,
to do this to you.
go ahead.
I do have one more question, and I do have to ask it because it was asked at last night's meeting, so it's just, again, in our due diligence. And it's more of a question maybe where information can be presented to the public over the course of between this budget and the next. And it wasn't the first time I heard it, and I think transparency is always the best policy. If we get ahead of these things and address them, they don't marinate and become other things. So the question was, and it's something that you said made me think of it regarding the class size, Mr. White. Because for those of us who went to school through this school system, I would bet our graduating high school class is at exactly within 10 students, probably the same exact class size. So we've been a pretty stable district in the last 35 years. However, needs change, times change, resources change, technology changes. So with factoring all of that in, one of the questions that we get often, or I get often, and we got last night, was regarding administrators. Are we top heavy on administrators? So in a time, I guess the question would be, so in a time where the high school was able to operate with one principal and one vice principal, assistant principal, now if there's a need for two, maybe we can explain to the public why there is that need, or perhaps, and I dare say this, perhaps it not always be met with negativity and rage for the public and for us, that's why we are elected, to ask if maybe sometimes we might have to spend less. Thank you. So I'm just putting that out there so we can get ahead of it for next year. I don't know if you want to address it now. It was asked at last night's meeting. That's why I bring it up. Thank you.
No, I think to your point, if that's a conversation, certainly we'd have that with the board and conversation about what that looks like. If the quick answer is, are we, if you compare us to other districts, are we administratively heavy? My answer is no. So it's not, we are a little light in terms of building administration. So again, that's quick, and that's not with a panel of research sitting in front of me. That's from what I understand what's happening in the world, in this state, that would be my quick response without data to support it. So.
Thank you.
Just quickly to answer that, in the 14 years I have been on the Board of Education, we have had 2 assistant principals at Plainville High School. And we've also had 2 assistant principals at the middle school, where these are the 2 schools where we combine our students. And also in the middle school, that is where there is, I think, the greatest need for a different type of administration than you would find in the high school. But that is just my own personal observation, and with discussions again during several times in both regular sessions and work sessions and executive sessions in discussions with the Board of Education itself.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and I can tell you from 1985 to 1990, there was 3 administrators at the high school. There was a principal and 2 assistants. It's been like that for almost 35 years that I know of.
And oh, you're all set. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, when you look at the class size, do you have to go through a process where you redistrict it all, or how do you do this? Because you see like Tafalon potentially could have 60 kindergartners where Wheeler only has 30. Do you move the teacher? Is it easier to move the teacher in that case than to try and move the students around to make it all fit?
So what you see is a nice, neat package. If you start peeling away the onion on that, there's a lot of moving parts. So one is that it's our choice to address choice students, right?
Yep.
So that's something we can fill in places where there's opportunities, right? So there's one.
And those you can place.
We can place them
where you kind of
where
have
we
room.
need them.
So
it is easier to move a teacher, and we do that. So even in these cases where you see the same, there's teachers moving throughout that system.
Yep. Okay.
The third piece is that we do have a August is full of requests of students asking to not be in the district that they are bused to.
Yep.
So there's lots of opportunity to move them there as well.
Okay.
So either they'll move out or we'll say, no, the class sizes don't work for that. We need you to stay in the school you're in. So there's a lot of moving parts right through August to try to even out those numbers as best we can.
Okay.
So I hope that.
No, thank you.
Trying
I
to
was
make
just
it
curious
confusing,
if,
But literally, it looks neat, but it's.
yeah, no, the
confusing, but
spreadsheet's
a lot of-
beautiful. I love
lot of
it.
moving
But
things around.
yeah, I'm sure getting to that point takes a lot of, I was just curious some of that backstory of how you manage the number of students at each particular school, and is it easier to move the teacher, so to speak, as opposed to moving the students around?
It's usually much more easy to move
Yeah.
the teacher. So
I imagine parents really don't want to see their kids getting moved.
it generally
from
doesn't
school
go
to-
well if
Yeah.
they're asked. And if we move them,
Try to avoid it
if they're not going
possible.
to the school there to not up our transportation costs, if they're not going to the school they're intended to, they can't have the bus either. So
Okay.
So
I
and
gotcha.
there's
Okay.
a cost factor
Yep.
there as well.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments or questions? So what's the preference? And again, is this something we want to take a vote tonight? I don't, again, Councilwoman Tompkins, I don't want to put you, necessarily make it your decision solely, but, do you want to move forward tonight? Do you want a night to?
I would like to vote on the Board of Education tomorrow.
All right. Before we let them go, is there any questions of the superintendent or chair of the board? All right.
Thank you for the spreadsheet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, and not to keep you here any longer, gentlemen, but I think we might want to have a conversation real quick for some news on insurance.
Yes, thank you.
And just so they're prepared for
A
tomorrow.
little good news.
Yeah, there was some good news today. Came out, the state partnership health insurance information came out late last night that I was able to get to and address this morning. Did attend a state meeting this morning. And our percentage, we were targeting 11%. It's coming in just a little bit lower than that. So we're able, between the two budgets, the town and the Board of Ed, I'm able to recommend to you to reduce in total $74,678, and I can break that out between town and Board of Ed budgets. This wouldn't have any impact, on the town budget, and be Department 820 fringe benefits, which you've already approved, but we can reopen it and reduce it by the 20,000, which always helps. And on the Board of Ed budget, it wouldn't reduce or change anything operationally. Again, it's a line item that the superintendent's been is over, higher than it should be because of the premium increases, but we can reduce it a little bit. So when you get to that, when you go to approve the Board of Ed budget, we'll throw that number in there, reduce, the bottom line, and they can reduce whatever they want, but on the board side, but there can be a reduction without any impact to operations.
All right. And would that be the balance of the 74 after the?
Well,
20?
between the two, yeah, I mean, if we're going to cut, I did recalculate both sides of the equation for health insurance, and it would be 74,678 in total
Okay.
between the two budgets.
And on the town side, we would look to reopen it and reduce it by 20.
Yeah, I would recommend reopening 820, Department 820, and then making the adjustment downward and approving the new bottom line total for that
Okay.
department.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the,
It was nice to see you last night. It was late, and I'm like, okay, I'll do that first thing.
But there was a fear that it could be higher, and that
no, I'm glad that, yeah,
is a vote of assurance.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
trend is still high, utilization is up, pharmacy is up. You see on almost every street corner in urgent care now, so that's why it's up. But we were able to, the state was able to do a little bit. Our Hartford County was down about 0.5%. They have a county adjustment that also feeds into the equation, and Hartford County was down, which is what led us to be a little bit lower than the 11 on average % increase across the state.
All right, thank you. So we'll be back here tomorrow night to act on your budget.
Thank you.
I don't know, does any, fire chief, police chief, does anyone have to be somewhere at a certain time? Does, you want to like shoot for who goes first?
Can't say that. He's got a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true too, yeah. Thank you for, yeah. So yes, so the police department, we talked last week. We had several takeaways from that. I'm going to try to summarize. If I forget anything, please let me know. We did have some items that were asked for in capital that weren't funded, but we felt needed to be in operational. We talked a little bit about a vehicle. We talked about an additional patrol officer, and there was one more. What am I forgetting?
Armor? Was it body armor?
Yeah. Oh, I think it was a combination of, a recommendation with the private duty of creating a fund where that fund would help pay for the cost of a vehicle or vehicles. I guess it depends how good of a year it was for private duty, but, and also SROs, a discussion about how we currently fund SROs and what can we do going forward, and engaging with the Board of Education to talk about that. Is there anything new from last week that you want to share, Chief, before
No, I
we
think
ask?
everything is, you summed it up.
Okay.
perfectly. I think that's where we're at.
Okay.
Those discussions.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for the chief before we take any comments?
No, I'm good.
All right. Any thoughts on what we want to do tonight? Or, obviously, I think that the operational costs, makes sense to move that into, I know there's a $50,000 cost to add it, and that's kind of outside of, any, something we just kind of have to do or be consistent with other departments.
We
maybe.
kind of missed it, so it's not a reduction in CIP because the town manager didn't fund it in CIP, so it's actually an overall increase of 50. But they are needed items. They are really operational items, not CIP type items. So it's software and that we have in every other budget, departmental budget. So it does make sense, and we'll do what we got to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, so the operating budget would go up to $6,067,000?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just for that one change, if that's what you
Right,
want.
for that department, right,
Yes.
Okay.
right, okay.
Okay. They were for things that are on yearly contract, correct?
Yep.
Those three items?
Yep.
Yeah, and I just wanted to verify where each one of those items that perhaps is not there, where that's going to be funded from. So I do know in CIP right now, we had AEDs, and those are the automated external defibrillators, and those are on a replacement because the batteries only last 5, 6, 7 years. We try to get 2 per year. We carry them in the patrol car so that we can save people's lives when they have heart failure. And so I wanted to make sure that was in the
Yes, it is.
CIP.
Okay.
And also,
that
we
was-
have, I think, a year or 2 years left on the stationary license plate readers.
Right, those were the two items then.
And then what was left in the CIP, I know the watch guard cameras, we were flush with, we were going to sort of zero that, nothing for next year. So that left the body cameras, which is a yearly cost.
Yeah.
The forensic computer software that the detectives use. And what else was there?
The dispatch.
Police dispatch?
Dispatch, our record system, that's also a yearly cost, which always goes up.
Those 3 items are the 50,000 that'll add back.
Okay.
And we have residual monies for those 3 individual line items in CIP to use for 27 to cover the full cost of all 3 of those.
Okay, and the body armor is going to be, you said, a LoSiP grant, or how were we
Body
gonna
armor
get the-
wasn't funded at all anywhere.
Okay, well, we have to fund the body armor somehow, because that's a replacement cost usually each year
It's 0.
is around 9,000.
9,000, yeah.
We have to fund that.
Yeah.
Body armor. 12, line 12,
Line 12.
9,000.
Yeah, we're looking at line 12 on your,
Yep.
the big.
I have a question.
Yes.
That's if it's you have 45 officers, or no, in the last 5 years, so you need 9 sets every year, basically, to stay on rotation.
That's sort of how it works. Some years are less than others, depending on when a person's body armor expires. But every year, we try to purchase between 9 or 10. The number hasn't changed. I know it went up this year. It's going to be at least $1,000 per officer, so it
Yep.
may go up. So I think this year there was 7 or 8 officers that need to have it replaced. So the timing changes. When we get the grant payment for it also changes, and it changes with so that money is sort of always shifting. Sometimes it looks as if there's probably double the amount in there that we need, and then it'll go down.
So that is covered by a grant, so we,
Partially, and I'm
Very little of it, though, not that much.
so my question is, why, if it's a yearly cost, why is it in CIP? I don't understand. If it's something that we have to do every year.
there should be a separate uniform line item budget, but that doesn't exist. So it just has always been in CIP as long as I've been here. So
Because they last more than a year, essentially. Like we talked about before, things that have an annual renewal, i.e. software, it's a year. General fund is a year. CIP is more than a year and $5,000. The body armor, while it may be replaced every year as an ongoing thing, it's not an annual thing for an individual piece of it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
So that's why
But
it's
we-
always kind of been sitting in CIP.
Right.
And again, it's equipment that should last longer than a year per se.
Right.
We do, any grant monies we do get back, we offset it, we throw it in the fund. So there is a net expenditure minus revenue equals net. But that's kind of why it's always been sitting in CIP. And currently we have about 10 grand sitting in there. So it really is only 1 year's worth of armor that is sitting in the line item.
So, Mr. Chair, just to
Yes.
summarize, then, we really have 4 items: the body armor, the dispatch and recording system, the body cameras, and the forensic software, that are really not discretionary items. These are things for which we had a yearly contract or a yearly replacement plan. So I'm a little confused why they did not appear in either the CIP or the operating budget, as it was presented to us, but I could certainly see why they are continuing costs.
Okay. Any other comments, questions regarding at least what we're talking about? So can we summarize what, are we looking to add more than what we initially, with the body armor? Is that something, was that included in moving over in the fifth?
No.
well,
I think at
Okay.
this point, you're going to move 3 items that you identified already, and then we're going to have to increase capital by 9. CIP by 9,000, because that's
the body armor's
contractual,
9.
which is not eligible
Right.
to move to operating.
Okay.
because the reasons Rob stated. So we'll have to look at increasing or reducing something else to swap out for the armor,
Okay.
body armor.
Right, we can keep the bottom line the same, all things being equal with the 9,000, we can just, we'll nickel and dime another line item or two. While we would add the individual project or line item, if you will, we'll just nickel and dime the others to keep the bottom line total for CIP.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Mr. Chair, can I ask
Yes.
a follow-up question to Ms. Morenti's question? Do we know the answer to that question that you just asked?
Which one?
You
About,
about it, why it wasn't in the original budget? No, I didn't think so. I wanted to make sure you got your answer, because I had the same question. I just want to make sure, if you and I both had the same question, then the public probably has the
Well, I think some of it is looking at the line item balances that are remaining in those line items at the time we were going through the budget and trying to prioritize other things, saying, okay, we have some money sitting in here. Could it just simply be timing of when the payments are made, when the items are purchased? Or is it simply not being used this year and can be used next year instead and push off a purchase for next year to the following year? So it was determined between us that, let's just punt for a year, see what happens. But if it's something that's obviously needed on an annual basis, then we need to do it.
Sorry, thank you. I was just thinking. So just to recap and summarize, the 3 items I have highlighted here: police dispatch and record system, police body cameras, and forensic software, those are annual items that can be moved over into the CIP.
No, from.
No,
That will get
I
moved.
have it backwards.
Yeah, operating.
That's going to be moved from CIP to operating because it is
Right.
annual.
Right.
Correct.
Understand.
And it is annual, and it is under, well, it's annual. It's an annual, and it ends, so it's got to be renewed every year in the operating budget versus something that is a, longer 5-year term, as Robin indicated, and over $5,000 in terms of criteria that we use for capital. This would fall under that and be more appropriate in the operational budget. But the armor, obviously, as Ben just took us through, that is not an officer replacing it every single year, right? Portions of the force will go through every year, and that's what the chief is rotating through, but that's going to have to stay in capital.
Understand.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
find it, I'll identify, I think, at this point, I'll just throw out, well, Rob can also suggest, but I think what we'll probably look at is just maybe reducing maybe the sidewalk fund that is up at repair and replacement at $174,000, just shaving that by $9,000 to cover the
Right.
the armor for $9,000. One suggestion, anyway.
Okay. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? I mean, at least regarding the capital, why don't we stay with this and flush this out as much as we need to before we talk a little bit. We have the other thing we wanted to talk about, vehicles. The chief had requested it. It wasn't proposed in this budget for another vehicle. Anybody have any thoughts or comments or questions regarding? I certainly have my thoughts. I mean, I know last year I think we talked about the private duty, using some of the funds from private duty to create an account which could help in purchasing some. I think that's something we should do. I don't know how quickly or what process or procedure the council has to take to make that happen, but I certainly think that's something we should do.
I agree.
I don't know if the council has thought about it, or certainly if you need time to think about it, that's fine. But procedurally, Rob, I'll just put you on the spot. Like, how difficult of a process would that be?
Not, I would just need a number from you. So if you tell me, take 60 grand of, special duty money that comes in from the car charges we send out to the vendors, then I'll just park the first 60 grand into CIP for the specific use of vehicle replacement for the police department. Every penny that comes in above and beyond the 60 will stay in the general fund as it currently does. So it's really just more of a motion and essentially administrative order from you, the town council, to me to move the money out of the general fund.
Say we said it's 125, it's 2 vehicles, and he didn't need 2 vehicles 1 year. Can that money just roll over? Does it have to be reallocated and then start over?
Well, if you give me a dollar amount for example, for 1 vehicle a year, okay, and we'll target 60,000. That's kind of the cost right now.
Yep.
And in a year where you may need 2 vehicles, I would just recommend budgeting for it in CIP. So
Right.
you could budget to raise CIP for the 60, but you're already generating 60 from the general fund. So, I mean, it really would go on a year-by-year basis, depending on how many vehicles you would want to purchase in that year.
My feeling is, so we're not doing this every year, trying to come up with the money. If that private duty fund is bringing in more money, you raise the rates, and the car's sitting there. It takes a life off the car. To me, it makes sense to use that money. But the opposite of your thought was budget for it. What happens if it's doubled and he only needs 1 car 1 year? What happens to that extra 60?
Well, I'm not saying to double the money.
No, I am. I'm just.
Okay.
If revenue.
Well,
If say we tell you put 125 away,
Yeah.
the first 125 for 2 vehicles every
Yep.
year. He only needs 1 vehicle next year. What happens to that money? Can it
it would
roll?
stay. It would stay in the fund, yeah,
Okay.
as every other CIP line item does. Yep.
Okay. That makes more sense to me because this seems to be a yearly struggle.
I agree. I mean, we used to have a plan where I think we were replacing 3 cars every 2 years, and that was a while ago. I couldn't even tell you when we were doing that. And
Way before me. Yeah.
Yeah, we got off of it, and again, it's probably for many of us or you guys, not me. I was always here, but yeah, we've certainly gotten away from replacing the vehicles, and I think we need to find a way to ensure that we're at least replacing 1, and maybe it's 2, and certainly it's something we can modify as we go along. Once we
Yeah, I
get
mean,
some
again, it's
stats behind
just
it.
a motion from you, the council, which it's not an ordinance, not anything that has to go to, it's your administrative decision. So, you tell me what it is what it is, and if you need to revise it for whatever reason, you can revise it.
And for the bottom line budget, if we said yes, let's do this and start, July 1st, start this fund, what would that mean? What change would we have to make to the budget? At least the expenditure side of the budget. Is that we're adding 60,000 to the
Well,
bottom
if you're
line?
going to purchase a vehicle, you would add 60,000 to CIP with the revenue offset of monies coming in
Right.
from special duty. So the net impact to the mill rate for capital when this particular interest would be 0.
Right.
Now, what would
But the expenditure, there would be an expenditure increase of 60.
right, but it wouldn't be raised by taxes because it'd be raised by outside revenue.
Correct,
So it would
okay.
be a net 0 to the mill rate. What it would impact in the general fund revenue side, when you do the revenues after the budget is adopted, it would reduce our increase that I'm showing or would want to show for this year for special duty.
yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of projects coming up next year. I mean, we know there will be an increase in fees coming in. It's, a good time to start doing this. So right now I'm targeting an increase of 90,000. It would be an increase of 30,000 if you say move 60 to the CIP fund, that's all.
Okay.
Still an increase in the general fund, just not as large as it would be revenue side, not expenditure.
Right,
revenue
right.
side.
Okay.
Compared to other towns, where are we on our charge for the use of the car for private duty?
I would say below average.
We're below?
There were towns that were charging upwards of $50 or more
Just for the car?
just for the car. And so, when I thought of raising it by $6, which I thought was very conservative, knowing that for each hour an officer works, they get an hour for the car. It's over 2,000 hours, which is very conservative, is 120,000 just from a $6 increase. Right. And so, and again, we're only at $30. That's still very conservative. I could see it getting raised in the future by even another $5 an hour, and that again would bring in $100,000 of revenue. So, yes, it would show less when we're trying to forecast how much we should get, but it's not reducing what we had.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's just adding that extra cost.
It's definitely doable, I think. I mean, I don't detail the fees between fees and car fees. It's kind of one line. That's why it's one line item in the budget, in the revenue budget. But I certainly can. We have the detail to do that.
I would I would like that. I would appreciate that.
Okay. Any comments or questions regarding the vehicle and the special fund, I guess we're calling that we're setting up?
No, it's just part of the CIP fund.
Okay.
Just the revenue side of the capital expenditure fund.
All right. All right. You brought up an additional patrol officer as well. Does anyone have any comments or questions regarding adding a patrol officer? I mean, who wants to be the first one through the door?
I know you want to do promotions and through adding a patrol officer, you don't lose anybody by doing promotions.
Correct.
What does it look like if you hold off a year on the promotion and we fund a half-year officer like we did last year with hiring a certified officer in January? What does that do? Is that workable?
Well, it again, my goal was a 5-year plan, and that was really to get us to where I think we need to be years ago, to be quite honest with you. My ultimate goal was to get enough so that we have a 4-person minimum, 4 officers that are on patrol during the day shift and then during the evening shift. Midnights would still be a 3-officer response because there's no way we could hire enough people to do 4. Right. Especially given the rotation that they work, the fact they work 365 days a year, the vacation time, sick time, and everything else added in between. I can't guarantee I could hire somebody that's certified, if that's what you're saying.
No, I was just, I know we were able to do, you were able to
I
do
don't
that
know how
last year.
hiring a half of a person would look in reality. I just don't know. Are you saying I would have to then wait until next July to get that one person? Or
No, in January.
Okay. So
We
half
fund it- we fund
half
it
July
half
and
the
then
year.
half in January.
Yeah, if I'm understanding,
Instead of adding an officer on July 1,
Yep.
we add the officer on January. That,
Yeah, full-time.
full-time.
full-time, but
Yeah.
waiting
Waited until
till
January.
January 1st.
That'd be fantastic.
And I know you tried, last year, one of the replacements, you tried to hire certified so you didn't have to go through the academy, so they could be on the road much sooner.
Yes, we did hire a certified. We were very lucky in getting somebody.
Yeah.
Getting somebody here. A very good candidate.
Okay.
But again, it's we're going to operate. We're going to do what we need to do. But like I said, part of the plan is a multi-year plan, which now is probably going to turn into like I said, it's a 5 to 10 year plan on my end in terms of where I want this department to be when I hand it off to that next person. And so, like I said, it doesn't get any slower.
Right.
People aren't doing less crime. There's not less motor vehicle work. There's not less paperwork. And so trying to address that and bring us into into the 2000s where, we have as many officers on the road as we need.
Right. How many are you away from having 4 on days and 4 on evenings?
It depends on what I factor in. Because I also need eventually to replace somebody in the detective division.
Right.
And then I'm looking at that promotion. And so, and then factoring in that nobody's ever going to be out of work on light duty
luck
or
with that.
on a long-term illness. So, could I try to do it now? I could try, but that would be, it wouldn't be worth the negative consequences of doing it now. I would need at least one more person, if not two, to at least make that leap, which is a big leap. It's something that in 80 years this department hasn't done. It's our 80th anniversary, I believe, this year. So, right, 1946.
Rosemary.
I'm asking you,
I'll
Rosemary.
check.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
So I think
Wait,
it's
you weren't inferring that she was there.
you were at the swearing in, I believe. No, they.
Write myself a note.
It's a huge leap. A lot of departments have made that jump, especially the smaller departments that are in that 40 to 50 officer range and that have the amount of work that needs to have that kind of response or that many officers on the road.
Okay.
So
What would for the promotion, what cost is that?
I believe first year, it's the difference in cost between the person becoming a sergeant,
have that in there?
which is a 2-year. So it's like 21,000 the first year.
Okay.
And I think 24,000 the next year when that sergeant reaches that second step,
Yeah,
final
okay.
step. And then from then on, it's like 24,000 per year
Okay.
to have that.
All right, I'm
promotion.
I'm trying to, if we use that 24, I mean, what was it, 140 to add a patrol officer? Was that the number, or am I high?
75 plus the benefits, which
Okay, yeah, and
Yeah, we what's in the budget right now is 27 for the promotional side only, not the
Right.
body, the new
Right.
body. The new body be for half a year, as you just brought up, would be about 37.7,
okay,
just for
excuse me.
the body itself, not health insurance, anything else outside of the department.
All right. Let me just write that down. All right, anyone with a question or a comment?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I feel like every year that I've had budget, when we get to the police department, like your department is obviously really important and it's a huge chunk. I feel like we meet with you and for me, it feels chaotic. Like you need a lot, right? And I feel like we could plan a little bit better. And I don't know if would be smart to even meet maybe a couple times during the year just to see like where you're at with the department, what new things you think might come up that you would need for the next budget season, just so when we get together, it's not so. I feel like it's just.
Well, and we
I
did.
feel
Yeah.
flustered all the time with the police
No, and
department
the chief did do.
Yeah.
You know, you did present. I think
Yeah.
I don't even know. 2 years ago now, was it? I don't even
Yeah.
remember.
I mean, it's essentially fairly, I don't want to say simple, but I have usually
Right.
the asks in CIP, now that we're moving
Yeah.
those items over to operational, really just either cameras, cars, guns, and then I'm always asking for a body. And I'll
Yep.
never
Yeah.
say no to an extra body
Yep.
Yeah.
until I get to where I think, is that critical mass for us where
Yep.
there's no way we're going to go above it and we shouldn't fall below. So, but again, more of it I think is, and I'd love to educate anybody on, the manpower we have. Just like the school system, we have administrators, we have people whose job it is to sit inside of the building all day and try to do the administrative tasks that a 365-day a year, 24-hour a day building requires, given state statutes, policies, procedures, grants, and all the other things that we do. There's a lot of work on that top end, and I'm trying to add to that, but at the same time trying to add to the bottom line, which is those officers on patrol. And so part of that is me, doing some shifting and doing some things there, and then getting the bodies from you so I can get to that 4-person minimum.
Because I do think it makes sense. It's probably a good time, and outside of the budget process, but, to sit down with a work session and you have your plan and show us, okay, this is what we've accomplished so far with the plan.
Yeah.
If it's changed or, if there are any modifications that need to be done, but to see where we are in that process, I'd be curious. Because, unfortunately, I haven't asked those questions. And
part of that, it's not an exact science. Part of it is obviously how much work we have and how much crime we have. If there was absolutely no crime at all and it was just a sleepy town and we had maybe one call every 8 hours, I would not need 4 officers on the road. So part of that will be going over the calls for service, the amount of arrests that we make, the amount of time each officer spends doing reports, the lengthy investigations. And again, part of that is because the detective division is down people. And so some of those long-term investigations might have to fall into the officer where instead of going out on patrol and doing that particular job, they are now stuck inside for 6 hours trying to track down video from Ulta because somebody stole $3,000 worth of perfume.
Yeah.
And a detective doesn't have the time to do it because they're working on a sexual assault. And so, just trying to juggle all that and having just enough manpower to do that is obviously where, what my job is.
Maybe we plan every September.
No, I think it is. It's probably something that we should do
I think it's just
annually
more
at
an
the very
update
least.
or, I don't know, just where are you at? What are you feeling with, even now just listening to you talk about the detectives and understanding why you don't have enough detectives, I don't know, and when I met with you, when we had our meeting, I was very surprised to hear how different the police force works than what I envisioned. So I think it's just having an idea of where you're at in the department and if you might see some big foreseeable change, a different way you're going to, set up the police departments and just kind of staying on top of it a little bit more.
Yep.
And I know you meet with the town manager, I think, regularly. So, I don't know if it's even you meet with him and he shares with us or the best way to do it.
Well, I think when it comes to the actual, it's an education piece, right?
Yeah.
It's saying these are the amount of people we have. This is what they do on a day-to-day basis. This is what we do during days, during evenings. These are the amount of tasks that we have to do. And there's thousands of tasks that have to be done by officers,
learned.
not just going out and answering calls. Each person wears so many different hats for the things that they have to accomplish in this career. And it's, you would think we're just Plainville, but we are not. We're part of a larger community, and the amount of time we spend with our law enforcement partners, either assisting them or having them assist us, is also something I think you'd find surprising. So.
Yeah. I think if we just maybe if we know more, understand it better, we can prepare better. I like the idea about putting the money for the police vehicle every year, just kind of having that because we know it's going to come up every year. So how can we resolve just some of the every year issues and stay on top of anything new? So we can just always be planning.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Well, I think Councilwoman Buchanan, did you want to say something?
Thank you.
Yep,
I
go
was
ahead.
actually
You go first.
I agree with Councilwoman Christopher. I had the same feelings after, not necessarily the exact same feelings, but after this is my first time up here and after receiving that presentation, my very first question and concern was, oh goodness, why don't we have a plan for this ahead of time? Why is this information being presented now? Because it does seem, I wouldn't say no to an extra body car, you know, those things, especially in your line of work, they're obviously important and they're finite, mainly. So I agree. I like the fund as well. Is there a way to, because it wasn't in this original budget, is there a way to get the fund going so we can be ahead of it in the future instead of behind it? I guess forgive me, I'm going back to the conversation of the car. And I know we're talking about the body at this person. Ben, that sounds like what you were trying to do with January regarding
Yes.
the body. Yep. So trying to get what we need as we grow, but not necessarily have to be put right on the spot to decide or be forced to say yes or no without it having been included in the original budget. And that was the other follow-up question I had, too, that Ms. Christopher had, how the frequency of how often you meet, because I would love that update. And I know you mentioned all wearing different hats, and I know these gentlemen and ladies are here as well that are doing the jobs in this building. Everyone's wearing 5 hats and doing the best they can. But I think the more information we get on regularly, we won't ever have to have you in a situation if you feel that you don't have what you need, especially to manage Connecticut comments.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead. No, actually, I was going to go to.
No, you go first.
just to add on to that, with the adding the officer in January as opposed, this budget's tight. We know that, and I'm just trying to find a compromise. Is what was my goal. Yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to say also, when if we do like a presentation in September, if you could, drill down a little bit on the crime statistics. We do get the monthly report. I look at them, but especially like in terms of what the patterns might be, and such as locations, times of day, times of the week, and also how that impacts on your personnel needs as well. Like you just gave that reference to a shoplifting versus a sexual assault. And I think that would be helpful too, sort of a little deeper look at the statistics and what they mean and how they impact the way our department has to be supported and operated. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Sorry.
No, if you have a question, go ahead.
I don't know if you mentioned it, the SROs.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, no, it is on my list,
Okay.
but we're getting there. And I don't know, and I don't want to say we're not going to act on your budget tonight. I would like some information regarding, the suggestion of funding a half-year patrol position. Could we get how it compares, the lieutenant position we're allocating, what was it, 21,000? Taking the salary, it's 37 or 39, not including the benefits. I'm just curious what that delta would be as we try to, so I guess I'm trying to say is, it would be 70,000 to fund a patrol officer position, a new patrol officer position. Is that correct for a half a year?
It would be about 37.7 at the current contractual rate for a new officer to start. But at the same time, the police union contract expires June 30th. We don't have any successor contract at this point in time either. So that number more than likely will go up a little bit. How
Okay.
much is to be determined. But for a half year to start, non-certified.
Correct.
Certified would
Okay.
be higher.
Yep.
It'd be about 37.7 just for the salary for a half-year officer.
And any idea benefit-wise, like is that
Well, that's going to
20,000?
vary on the individual who's hired, but you can probably make the assumption that it'd be a younger individual, a single medical insurance, which is averaging, with the new rates, it's probably about, it is, see, 13, about 16 grand just for medical insurance.
Okay.
you throw in the whole, Social Security, FICA, Medicare, all of that, you're talking with benefits, upwards of 55 grand probably, plus or minus, all in. And you got to outfit the individual too.
Yep.
50.
I'm just trying to get a sense of, if how it compares to the lieutenant promotion. That's all I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, the lieutenants, they're, like I said, we did budget for the adjustments to lieutenant and sergeant. So we did budget 27, and again, that's based on the current contract. Could be a little lower, a little higher, depending on where we go, but 27 is a good ballpark number for promotional increases that then would be backfilled with the patrol division moving up, and there may be a lag. You do 6 months on a lag for the start of the new officer, it'll make up for that, and right away. So
Okay.
that's good. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So the SROs, the town funds those 100%, correct? As it currently stands. Do we have any any research or any questions of other communities how they handle the funding of their SROs? Have you had any experience with other towns how they handle it?
I just know from talking with other chiefs, it's a mixed bag.
Oh, really?
There are some departments that will fund it completely. But again, and also those positions might look a little bit different than they look here. There are departments where the Board of Ed pays for the entire salary of the,
Yep.
and then there's cost sharing.
Yep.
So it's anywhere in between. I wouldn't be able to give you numbers unless I reached out and did a.
No, that's fine. I was just curious what other communities, what they do and how they handle it. But it sounds like it's across the board.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think when we started the SRO, the first time the position started, it was split between the town and the Board of Ed, and then somewhere along the line that changed. But I'm not sure what year that happened.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions regarding the SROs? I mean, as I indicated, I do think it's a conversation, and we probably need more. Obviously, we need to get with the Board of Ed to start discussing it and trying to come up with something if we want to make changes to how it's funded. So, you have any thoughts or?
No, I mean, yes, how it's funded, those discussions, can be made, and that would.
That may not go quickly.
No, but from my perspective, it comes down to being able to put a body full time into my police department. I'm a full supporter of the SRO program. I was an SRO myself. I believe strongly in the program, not just for the security it brings the school, but obviously the interaction between the SRO and the kids, and everything else that they do. But again, it's when I'm looking at having a dearth of people, and I look at an officer that's full time, and I don't really ever see them because they're spending the majority of their time, 9 months at a school building. There's part of me that says I would love to be able to have that portion funded by the school system. That way it gives the town that money to let me hire an officer instead. Otherwise, what other police chiefs have done, and this, I don't know if we're in that need right now, is they pull their SRO back from the school. It's the chief's discretion of how that officer's time is used. And again, that's a decision I would never make on my own. That's something I would have a conversation with the Board of Ed, with the town council, and of course the town manager, before I made that. So I know Cheshire did that, and then very quickly after that, they had some changes there to get the SRO back into their schools.
Okay.
And of course, at this point, we have two: one in the middle school full-time, one in the high school full-time.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And just to clarify, we're talking about this in terms of FY '28.
I would think so. Yeah, this isn't in my mind. I wasn't talking about trying to make that change in the fiscal year
Not-
27
not-
proposed budget.
This would be
yeah.
a discussion we'd have over
I-
a period
yeah.
of time in preparation for next year.
Just getting the ball rolling.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And the reason I say that, these sessions are being taped,
Oh, no, I understood.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah, and and we could assume it, and I think probably we all assume that. And somebody who's a member of the public's watching it, it may sound like it's imminent. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. Did you have a comment?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else with a comment or question?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have a question, but it's not regarding the SRO.
Go ahead. Just-
And you all
yeah.
probably know the answer, but again, new. As far as the cost of the vehicle, the 60,000, you just get a car for that, right? Not the police car tricked out like a
So-
police car.
So the vehicle that I would be asking for this year, so we have 8 Ford Explorers. They're police utility vehicles, and those are for the front line. Those are the officers that go out on patrol. They share those vehicles, usually 2 people, sometimes 3 share a vehicle, and they run for at least 16 hours a day. And we try to manipulate it so that certain people on certain shifts share it, and that no one vehicle is getting too many miles on it, and no one vehicle is just sitting there with no miles on it. So that extends the life of the fleet. But again, we have 8 of them. So even if we got 1 car every year just for the frontline fleet, we'd have to make sure that these vehicles are lasting 8 years, which is a long time when you're putting on, 30,000 miles a year or something like that. So right now, the vehicle that I have waiting for me at the dealer is, I think, 46,000 and change, and then, or a little bit more, and then we use the rest of that funds for upfitting. So it can cost upwards of $20,000 to upfit a vehicle. And by upfitting, you're talking about the decals on the car, the entire light system with the lighting bar. The radio itself is $5,000 or so for the radio system. Then you need the rifle in the car, the rifle vault in the car. You need the prisoner cage in the car, a laptop mount, an in-car video camera, and various other equipment to make that fully workable vehicle. So that's why we put the 60,000 in there.
No, thank you, and thank you for breaking that out. Broken out like that, it sounds more reasonable if there's not additional costs after the fact as well. So, very good. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? I think, again, I kind of indicated this. I feel like this is something we'll vote on tomorrow night. I would like, I give Rob more homework to do, but, if it's possible, talking about the vehicle fund, I don't know if there's a better phrase that you're going to call it, but, just to have you break that out, what we have to add to the department budget in that case, giving us those numbers and all that for tomorrow night.
It's just part of the CIP. So we would add 60 for the expenditure side of the CIP.
And it's that
We'd
simple.
add a revenue source of 60, if that's the number you want to use, to offset that.
Okay.
Okay, so the net just for those 2 transactions would be 0.
Yeah.
And what I
Yep.
didn't mention, we also in the CIP fund, we have a line item for town clerk fees. So part of the fees that the town clerk generates goes to that fund too for other items, purchases, vault
Okay.
thing. Careful. You already know that. Yes. And it's used for equipment purchases that again are not used, all the time.
Okay.
So it's the same. The car, where I'm going with this is the car would be the same concept.
Okay.
So whether you use the money, you don't use it, it's still there for needed one-time larger ticket item purchases.
Okay.
So I guess what I summarize is you've already done this once before. It was years ago with the town clerk fees. It's a good thing.
Mr.
It
Chair,
wasn't.
Yes.
patrol car is the most expensive with the exception of a K9.
You mean type of vehicle?
Yeah.
At this point, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The K9, because we are going to replace the K9 officer. That's in the works right now. But the vehicle is already set. So we have a K9 vehicle actually we have 2. One was from when one of my officers resigned, if you remember.
Yep.
And so he had one of the older vehicles, which was still serviceable. And then we had a newer vehicle for one of our other dogs, our other canines. Okay. One of those canine vehicles is in the private duty fleet, And so that's going to be still used as a backup K-9 vehicle. And the other K-9 vehicle, we keep maintain and keep it running. So when the next K-9 officer comes on board, the vehicle's already there. So we will not need to purchase a vehicle for that.
I was just trying to figure out what the number should be. We should
It may
probably
change. Yeah, right, it may change. I mean, are there years when I may want to? Yes, depending on what happens. Are there years where I can go with zero? Yeah, I've already done that, and I wipe my brow and say, okay, that's over with, and let's move forward. But if there's an average of one, and I know that at least the money is sitting there, then that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so I think from the capital perspective, which we'll talk about a little bit after we finish with both chiefs, actually, we just simply have to add the 60,000. Because regarding the halftime position that we were talking about earlier, I would like to wait till tomorrow night just so I can kind of think about that a little bit more, seeing that we just brought it up tonight for the first time. Obviously, Rob, if I have any questions, I'll let you know between now and then. Is there any other questions, comments anyone wants to ask or make of the police chief before
Oh, I'm good.
we bring the fire chief up? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Fire chief,
Wake up.
don't worry, the seat will be nice and warm.
Yeah.
We've been here so long, the lights,
Good night.
the lights have turned off in the hallway. We've had no motion. It's,
It's like dark here.
thank you. All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, last week we touched upon an opportunity the town has to purchase a floor model, and what's the
Plain Jane.
Plain Jane
Floor model would be
pumper fire truck to replace one that is now 27 years old.
99. Yep.
So I think I'll try to summarize real quick. There's this Plain Jane model that's available that is waiting for you to tell them yes or no.
Yep.
Because many other departments, it sounds like, would love the opportunity to.
Yeah, they gave us
To
first right of refusal
good.
because all of our trucks are
You
made.
do have a copy of a proposal in front of you. Why I decided to bring this up, or I think, why we're bringing it up tonight is, it is a 27-year-old pumper. Currently, if we were to go out to bid and go that traditional route, it would be a 4-year process before we actually received
Yeah.
the truck, and it would cost between 1.2, 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Correct.
easily. Yep.
So our opportunity, as you can see in front of you, is we have an invoice that for $780,000 we can take advantage of one right now, being a Plain Jane,
Yep.
and that's why we're here. So in order for this to work, however, we would have to add again to the capital to make it work. I'm going to leave it up to Rob, the finance director, to give the details financially of how this would work. If you're ready to explain it, please.
Sure. So due to the timing of this, the age of the vehicle, the condition of the vehicle, and the fact that one's available, and knowing the budget's tight, the best way to do this financially would be to lease the vehicle initially. When I say lease, it's not lease. It's like the company will get paid. We, the town, are just paying a lease back over a period of time. This vehicle will last, 25 years. So my recommendation would be to expedite the process, to get this process rolling, to get the vehicle ordered, get it online here internally. Let's lease this vehicle. We'd go through our financial advisor, keep everything out in the open, no different than we do when we go out to the bond market. We'd basically do a lease agreement with a bank, whoever would, give us the best rate per se. I'm targeting about $100,000 a year in payments. Could be a little more, a little less, depending on when the loan would close, interest rates. But over the next couple of years, probably pay that loan off with a bond offering, because the vehicle, again, it's going to last 25 years, which is the whole purpose of bonding and, using it over the life, paying for it over the life expectancy of the vehicle itself, versus a 8 to 10 year loan. So I would recommend that we, go through our FA or bond counsel, have the appropriate resolution drafted up if you so want to go this route. get the information back from my the financial advisor. 100,000 is probably a good number to add. If you're going to add anything into the budget, it'll go through the referendum process via the budget. It won't have to be a separate process. It's not circumventing anything. It's doing the right thing in just a quicker fashion. That's all. Everything would still be above board with the financial advisor, the bond counsel, and you as authorizing the resolutions. It would really be, at the end of the day, no different than you authorizing the town manager to enter into a grant agreement. You would just authorize the town manager to enter into a signed lease purchase agreement. And then a few years from now, whenever we go back out to market for bond, we would just roll in the residual amount. We would ensure that the market or the lease purchase would have no prepayment penalties, things like that. Kind of like your mortgage, you pay off your mortgage ahead of time, you save interest. It'll kind of be something like that, we would hope. But I would leave that up to our FA to figure out for us.
Okay. All right. So, any comments or questions, Chief?
No,
Anything you want to share that you didn't last week?
Well, down the road, we're going to need another one to get rid of the 2004. The president of Bulldog told me personally that if we bought 2 trucks right now, they would give us a 16% discount. And after talking to them a little while, and they love the town, we've always bought their apparatus. They will hold that. They'll give us 16%. If we buy another one within a year,
Okay.
they'll go back and give us that 16% off. But
Okay.
yeah, it's something. It's something needed. The truck has seen better days. It's still passed, pump tests, but then we have to fix certain things. So it's nickel and diming us for at least the last 10 years. And like I said last budget meeting, that we had that process of putting so much away every year, and they stopped that. So without doing that, now we're stuck with the big bill.
Yep.
So it's hopefully it's something you guys can look at and kind of put away for the future.
Okay. Well, and yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so, because I see on the capital spreadsheet here, so engine 3 replacement, engine 4 replacement. So this one for this year would be which engine?
Engine 3.
Engine 3, and then next
1990.
year, you would be looking to replace engine 4, which they would hold for you until next year. Is that what you're
As
saying?
long as we give them a
commitment.
commitment.
Okay,
They're actually holding this truck just in good standards. They, I didn't want to sign anything and then go back and so I left that in your hands. But we could have this truck, if it passes and everything happens, we could have a new truck in July.
okay.
In not 4 years, which the government is looking into why it's taking so long, but that'd be great for us.
And going this route, we're saving over the long run a little over $400,000 and
Yeah.
4 years of maintenance on this truck.
Yeah. It's old. It's did its job. It was a great truck. It still is a good truck. They don't take trade-ins. We won't do a trade-in with them. We sold our last engine 1 and our old tower. We sold those outright. You don't make a big. I was told that this engine 3 probably go for $16,000, but engine 4 we should go for a lot more. And Bulldog looking to purchase that themselves, but mostly because they make new fire trucks. They don't deal with used or anything else, so there'll be no trade in on this. And we'll find someone to.
But you'll
right.
sell it. Not I don't say sell it privately, but
Yeah.
town will just sell
Yeah.
it to whoever wants
Yeah,
to buy it.
our old ladder went to some town in Tennessee. So Manafort's bought our old engine 1.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
they come and go. There's brokers out there that I can get a hold of to try to sell it, but
All right.
we can take it from there. But
All right. So I guess where we are is as a council, we have a decision to make. As Rob indicated, we be adding another 100,000 to capital under this scenario. However, I think clearly this process would save us money in the long run, and also even more if we do that commitment to a second truck.
Yep.
we actually can recoup what 16% would be somewhere around $100,000 or so.
Yeah, they make 5 or 6 of these trucks a year, just
Okay.
for people like us, small towns. We don't need the big custom trucks anymore. The last ladder we bought in 2020 was 1.2. That same truck right now goes for about 2.5.
Wow.
So the initial cost on parts and pieces. If you want to make money, just build something and put fire department on it, and it goes up tremendously.
Paint it red.
Yeah, it is. It's just crazy.
Okay.
But
All right. Any other questions or comments? We are going to talk about capital next, so we can incorporate this discussion into our capital discussion. Any other comments or questions for the chief? No. All right. Yes.
Are you talking about 2 trucks?
One right now.
Well, we're talking about one right now regarding this budget, but there is a potential to get another one to replace the 24-year-old, no, that would be 22-year-old truck next year.
well, I'll take 2 tonight.
No, I know.
Buy one, get one?
Yeah.
So for tonight's purpose,
For 2 trucks at the same time next year.
well, potentially, yes.
But right now, we're only worried about one.
Yeah.
Well, right, for tonight's purposes, we have one available that they are holding, waiting for us to decide if we want it or not. And anything we add to the budget tonight will just be about this one truck, one pumper. All right, anyone else? Thank you, chief.
Thank you. Vote yes for the budget.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chief.
all right.
Good night.
So we've gotten through the board discussion, we've gotten through the police, we talked about the fire truck. I think the only other thing tonight we can talk about is the capital. And I think we might be able to vote on capital. It sounds like we don't have any leftover questions, concerns.
We'll just,
I mean, I think we need to decide, obviously, with the vehicle, just making sure we're comfortable with the 60,000 for the vehicle, and then obviously we have to have a discussion on the new pumper truck. Do we want to add that into the capital as well?
Mr. Chair, can I ask
Yes.
a question to whoever has the answer? Just to go back to the police car for me, when we set up this fund, and when would we start putting the money into it? July?
July 1st.
July 1st, okay. Is there a way to get ahead of it so that way we have the money to buy it outright?
We would purchase the vehicle and sort of reimburse ourselves with the money that comes in throughout the course of the year. So it essentially is, I mean, if this is voted on and approved by you, then voted on and approved by the taxpayers as far as the bottom line budget, we could, do a letter of intent to get the vehicle and get it on board, ready to go July 1st. Again, as fees come in, they would come in pretty quickly to cover that vehicle. So it would just be cash flow for out of pocket and put it right back in our pocket. So we are getting ahead of it essentially.
And then how long, and I don't know if we know this yet with the fees just going up, how long would it be to take to get the next 60,000?
Well, it depends on how many jobs are out there.
Based on the average of now?
Well, we raise about 300,000 a year.
Okay,
Well, right now with the bigger construction projects we've had going on.
okay.
So that's like I believe Councilman Getterman said, if there's less work in town, there's going to be less police special duty fees.
Fair
So,
enough.
but we have a lot of Eversource jobs. We have a lot of gas jobs, electric jobs. We have lots of jobs. Whiting Street was one of those that just finished. Broad Street. We have the I believe camp in Bradley area beginning next year. So there's going to be some projects going on next year. So the money, like I said, it's an easy fix for this year. For next year, 27. Going forward, more than likely with the increased fees, we'll still be able to generate the 60,000.
Okay. And these fees, again, just for me, have been going into the general fund
Yes.
until this
As a revenue
potential
source,
point?
right? Correct. Yes. Yep. But again, I'm requesting when we get to the revenues to increase that line item by more than the 60. So even the general fund will show an increase while putting 60,000 into the capital fund for this vehicle purchase. So it's a win-win for this year. I'm saying it's a good year to do this if you wanted to do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Any other questions, comments? I guess just generally, did you have?
Yeah, I was just going to say, given the fact that we're coming back tomorrow evening anyway, if you don't mind, if you want to summarize for me what you would like in capital, and then, we can sit with the town manager and see how we can work it out to best minimize the increase, given that you're going to add, 100,000 and 60,000 and 9,000, we could work it all out so that we have a solid, firm bottom line number for you tomorrow and
That's fine
track
with
all the
me.
ins and outs.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Will you also be able to do that on the police department?
Yeah, I would do it on all of them.
Budget, yeah.
I mean, again, if you just want to summarize for me what you would like to see, I believe on the police budget, it's adding the 50,000 for the software cost,
yep.
perhaps the half year officer at 37.7.
And the
I
20
believe that was all for police,
one-
correct?
I think 21,000 for the lieutenant.
That's already in the budget.
Already?
proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had
All right.
27,000 for this promotional salary increases. So
Okay.
that's already in there.
Can I add to your list?
Go ahead.
Do it both ways?
Go ahead.
With the lieutenant and without the lieutenant?
Oh, you're really gonna tax me on this, huh?
Yeah. I heard you were short on overtime.
Oh yeah, like I have nothing else to do. So you want to show it? Well, we already currently have it in the budget that's proposed to you right now. The salary increases for the promotional increases are in there.
Yep.
So you're saying to take
right.
take those out?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find I want to give them, my personal feeling is I'd like to give them as much of a new body as we can. And if it means sacrificing a promotion,
No, and again, can we direct the chief?
Yeah,
we're,
that's a
if
good
we
question.
made that change, we say, we're going to fund a half a new patrol officer with the understanding that you will not make this promotion. Is that something we're allowed to do as a council?
Well, yes, and I mean, in terms of how you're choosing to fund it, that would be the trade-off. I think you have to understand that you're going to fund an officer, but here's the string attached to it. Yeah.
You can
Okay.
add it to you can.
No, I'm just making sure, from like a high level here that we're.
Right. So if you're waiting for the new body for half year only, then do the promotions half year. And then all of a sudden the 27 becomes in all essence 13.5.
So I held
Fine.
3 ways?
Yeah.
Wow, now you got me going another way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's,
No, I mean, again, you're talking $27,000 or 13.5 or 0. If you there's your 3 ways.
And we don't sacrifice morale because being incentivizing opportunity and growth is so important to any group of people. It's hard because we do have to, unfortunately, nickel and dime, and now we're adding things into the budget. And, we're going to have to potentially, I'm not saying we're adding anything into the budget, but we're potentially adding things into the budget and discussing adding things to the budget. And I think that every option needs to be looked at. And I think one of my biggest takeaways here, and as Christopher brought it up, is again going back to an organizational standpoint. How could we have avoided having some of these conversations here in real time when we're having to make such finite big decisions, and we could have gone ahead of them a little bit more.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, yeah, then we're also doing the body armor. That's going in CIP, yeah.
Yeah, so there's,
9,000.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. So they're adding 9, but we can reduce, I believe the town manager already said reduce sidewalks. I mean, that's kind of a wash, but it's those kind of, maybe we could watch.
we want to make sure we're all on the same page and we all
right.
understand exactly what.
And maybe we can nickel and dime the other projects for the 100,000, adding for the fire truck, if that's where we want to go as well. So we could,
All right.
we'll come back with some
No,
sort of proposal
look
for you.
forward to what you
Okay.
have for us.
yeah. And I'm definitely in favor of the pumper truck and then another one, replacement engine number 4 next year. So,
Yes, Bill probably.
Yeah, and we can do the insurance,
And-
the insurance fringe benefits tomorrow too as well.
And one other, another little thing, I had a conversation earlier with the town manager, and there was some discussion about the line striping, and the
Much like
crack sealant.
Yeah. So what Rob and I can do tomorrow and ahead of tomorrow night's meeting is look at those items that you, again, increasing the budget, moving, trying to make up for the $100,000 lease payment. So much like taking the page from the police side, I think we can identify line striping and our
Crack sealing.
crack sealing as two items, and our HVAC's study. We could probably, I think those are three items that would get us to 100,000. And the reason is that we can still get the crack sealing and marking done under the road bond package. Right, so it might likely, like the police, we shifted from capital to operating, right? We're going to shift off the capital, no net increase, and shift it and get it done under the bonding package.
And you're not talking the line striping machine, you're talking the actual road striping.
Road stripe, right?
Okay,
Marking.
okay.
Pavement marking and
Marking.
the crack
Yeah.
sealing.
Item
Okay.
50. So it would be items 31, items 54, and item 56.
54 and 56.
54, 56, and then I'd shave another 5 from HVAC, and that would get us the 100.
Okay.
A match, offset.
All right, so yeah,
$100,000
yes, so
match.
tomorrow night, yes,
We'll
if you
map
can
it
come
all out
prepared
for you.
to
Yeah,
explain it that way, and, yeah.
I'll map it all out and see, with increase, how we can offset those increases as much as possible.
Okay.
Does roadway sign replacement and traffic calming fall under the same category as the crack sealing?
I don't.
That one I would really,
Just spitballing.
I would almost,
Stretch, but
yeah, I'd almost rather leave that in capital simply
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's more equipment,
Okay.
right.
and we do have to replace a lot of signs because, of
Yeah.
accidents and people driving, so, yeah. But the other two are really, again, it's more appropriate, we may feel, to go through the road bond and pay for that through that project, which we're already bonding for anyway, and we have, money set aside for paving, because this both has to do with the streets that we're paving.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense, like moving the software to the operational budget from CIP.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
where in all of this budget do we get these lights fixed?
Are all the,
There's a lot of them.
I was gonna say, is there a switch that's not on? Has it always been like this? I never noticed.
It was only one
Doesn't-
for a while. I was judging the one.
Doesn't
Now I
feel
have to really.
darker. I don't,
Yeah, I think there must be a switch.
well,
We
thank you
saved
for
some
pointing that out. That's all I can think about now is
We have mood
I have the
lighting.
lights on.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a visual aid for how much we really need to turn and invest
All right.
into this town hall and the folks that work in it.
Well, on that note, since,
Motion to adjourn.
yeah, I was gonna say, unless anyone has a question or a comment, I think we have our marching orders. We'll be back here 6:30 tomorrow night. Motion to adjourn?
So
Deb got
so
it.
moved.
Thank you.
Adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you guys in about 22 hours.